Ever wonder why your code isn't working as expected, even though you've checked it 100 times? Maybe you're baffled, scratching your head, or even considering a career as a hermit. Well, let me assure you, you're not alone. Coding mistakes are as common as mismatched socks on laundry day. They sneak up on us, leading to unexpected results and amusingly frustrating moments. But don't worry, there's hope. So buckle up as we dive into the world of common coding mistakes and how to avoid them. Mistake number 1, not using comments. You might think, who reads comments anyway? Well, let me tell you, everyone who wants to understand your code does. Comments in your code are like the secret language of wizards, helping those who dare to decipher your magical lines of code. Skipping comments is like baking a cake without a recipe. Sure, you might remember what goes into it today, but what about 6 months from now? Or imagine you're the director of a blockbuster movie, but you've left your actors without a script. Sure, they might improvise, but wouldn't it be easier if they knew their lines? And let's not forget about team projects. Without comments, your code becomes a mysterious labyrinth only you can navigate, leaving your teammates wandering aimlessly in the maze. Remember, comments are like breadcrumbs in a forest. They help you find your way back when you're lost in the code. Mistake number 2, ignoring naming conventions. Yes, naming your variables X or Y is very tempting, but resist the urge. You see, in the coding world, we have something called naming conventions. They're a bit like the dress code at a fancy party. You wouldn't show up in your pajamas, would you? Similarly, in your code, you want to dress your variables and functions in meaningful names. This way, you're not left scratching your head, wondering what X or Y does. Imagine you're trying to debug your code at 3 in the morning, and you come across a function named do something. What does it do? Who knows? You're left playing detective, trying to decipher the mystery of do something. Here's a funny anecdote. Once a developer named his variables after his ex-girlfriends. A hilarious idea, until he had to explain his code to his new girlfriend. Awkward, right? So give your variables meaningful names, unless you want to play a guessing game every time you revisit your code. Mistake number 3, neglecting error handling. Ever seen a program crash and thought, well, that escalated quickly? Now imagine your code as a tightrope walker high above the ground. It's all going smoothly until, whoops, a gust of wind, a slight misstep, and suddenly your code is in freefall. This is where error handling comes in. It's the safety net that catches your code when things go wrong, preventing a spectacular crash and burn. When you neglect error handling, you're essentially sending your code out on the tightrope without a safety net. Any small mistake can cause the entire program to crash, leading to data loss and a lot of stress. Not to mention the audience, your users, being left in shock as the performance comes to an abrupt and unexpected end. So treat your error handling like a safety net, because you never know when you'll need it. So, to ensure your coding journey is less of a trial and error and more of a trial and success, let's take a moment to revisit the treacherous trio of common coding blunders we've navigated today. Firstly, we tackled the silent saboteur, the absence of comments. Like leaving breadcrumbs in a forest, comments guide you back to your thought process, making your code easier to understand, debug, and maintain. So, save future use some headaches and don't forget to comment your code. Then, we delved into the chaos caused by ignoring naming conventions. Remember, code is a language, and just like any language, it has rules. Proper naming conventions bring clarity and consistency to your code, making it easier to read and understand. So embrace the power of well-named variables and functions. Finally, we confronted the lurking menace of neglected error handling. Ignoring errors is like ignoring a ticking time bomb. It's not if it will explode, but when. Effective error handling can save your code from crashing and burning, and provide valuable feedback when things go wrong. In a nutshell, these seemingly minor missteps can lead to major headaches down the line, so it's crucial to avoid them for efficient and effective coding. Remember, coding is an art, and just like any artist, you'll make mistakes. But learning from them is what makes you a master. Keep coding and keep learning.